One, and go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's FPV podcast. This week, we got a return visitor from the Pro Aerial League. We're going to get a little bit of a recap of their first three races and what they're going to be doing moving forward. They're right now halfway through their season, so it's a good time to catch up with him. But before we let Ken talk, Elvin, why don't you say hello?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Hey, Ken, good to see you, man.
Great to be here.
We had somebody come up there and check out the racing up there in Seattle, and they had some good things to say, and we got some other things to talk about. So let's jump in it.
Definitely. Ken, say hello to everyone.
What's up, guys? Great to be back. Happy to be here.
All right. So Ken is definitely one of the founders of the Pro Aerial League. So if you don't know anything about the Pro Aerial League, we already have a podcast that introduces that league to everyone. So definitely go listen to that. But for the people who are listening right now, Ken, why don't you just give us a short recap of what the Pro Aerial League is?
In its briefest type, we are team racing. We're extreme team racing. And as our events kind of progress, we're finding what our hook is more and more. And our hook is really becoming our 20-minute team relay portion.
That is pretty cool, by the way. So what Ken is talking about is obviously drone racing, but they're revolving around 6 teams. Do I remember correctly? 6 teams put together, and each team will compete in every one of those events, and they will be crowning a winner at the end of their season, which is pretty cool. Now, they're only in the Northwest right now, so we're really rooting them on, and hopefully they'll grow and spread across the country, and we'll have teams in every city. Well, you know, that's the goal, right? So, Ken,
a couple teams in every city. Some cities is huge.
Right.
Elvin is making his bid for his own team. You can already tell he's already got the hook in.
Yeah, I can hear. Hey, Elvin gets his own team. Elvin wants a team. He gets a team.
I want. Hey, man, I'm just. Look, Ken, I really appreciate for the opportunity. I've been talking to some guys. We've been racing for about a year together, and we work well together as a group. You know, and we support each other well. And I think it's time to take these boys and bring them into the rest of the world. You know, I am the leader, but one of the nice things about being a leader is you get the opportunity to step back sometimes and let some other guys take control. So I'm one of those racers where I'm looking for my way out the door. You know, and I think. Running a team for the next year for a season is my way out. You know, I'd like to retire from racing. I can't see what I used to see when I used to see it, and the reflexes ain't all there. They get there, but you know how it is. You know.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Well, especially when we've got kids. You know, one of our top pilots at the race this last weekend was our 13-year-old kids.
Right.
You know, like Aaron, Kid Drone, and he was keeping up and beating a lot of our top pilots from all over the area. So, you know, there are guys that are, you know, my age, your age, that can keep up, but I don't make that list anymore.
Yeah, I see it coming. You know, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, so you know, and I'm one of those guys that I actually get I have corporal tunnel on my thumbs, so I've been flying RC long enough to have done the damage. You know what I mean? And it takes a long time. So I want to ease out the door and do more podcasts and do some more things with why we're doing some other things. But I'd like to lead this team into your 2018 season and see how well they do. They're great guys and they love working together. So.
Nice. Awesome. And, you know, we are really looking forward being forward thinking on this,
right.
Because we know that once we get a grip that, you know, the next set of teams, you know, the next 6 teams or so should be a lot easier to put together than our first set of 6 teams for sure.
Right. Yeah, definitely. You'll have some lessons learned coming out of there. And, you know, for people that, I mean, we see it. I see it every month, every week. the new generation, they're picking it up a lot faster. They don't they don't have to go through the growing pains that we went through. And there's a lot of the older guys, you know, I'm not saying, you know, Elvin's particularly old. He's like 90, but you know, Elvin, I can tell you, would make a great coach. So I think that's where this is going to be going, is that you're going to have people that are going to be coaching the younger generation coming up, not only in flying, but also being respectful and being good communicators and being good with PR, because that's actually the most lacking part of what we need for coaching, is how to be good in front of a camera and how to actually say, yes, sir. Yeah, you know, I will take my coaching and I will speak well. Some of these new kids, they need a little help. I'm just saying.
But that's with everybody. I mean, come on.
And and I don't want to have to be that person all the time.
But yeah, it's part of the job.
So. It's part of the job.
Right. Exactly.
But let's go ahead and get into it. So the Aerial Pro League is the first league in which they're really dedicating towards team racing, which is awesome. I've been a part of either running it, being there, or being like, I forget what is it, a spotter there.
Yeah.
And like at 3 different relays, I can always say everybody always comes out saying it's a great type of an event, you know, and people love it. There's a lot of action going around it. We just haven't found the perfect formula to capture it in which it's going to draw in that large spectator crowd. And this is why we're talking to Ken, because he's the one at the forefront pushing this forward. And that's why we like the Pro Aerial League. So Ken, let's go ahead and jump into like the first event, the first game. I don't know. How do you want to call it? The first event or the first game?
I haven't called them games yet, so we'll stick with events. I like events.
Yeah. Okay, the first event at Portland, you know, right in his home, right in Elvin's hometown. Tell me where it was and what you were doing.
So that was a lot of fun, and we want to give the folks at Portland International Raceways a big shout out for that opportunity. Just because we were able to come in and do something that never really has been done before. They were really cautious about having us there, but you know, we tried to put them at ease as much as possible. So they let us actually put on a 3-day race at Portland International Raceways, which if you're not familiar with that racetrack, is they have it's an amazing big, I don't want to say oval, but a windy round circle-y track.
Yeah.
You know, and in the middle is a motocross track. So they let us take over the motocross track and put a really cool race track on that track and actually do our racing while they were doing their Rose Cup races. So it was great. We got to show off a lot of our unique stuff to people. You know, a lot of people still don't even know that drone racing exists, right? People hear and you know, they still think military strike drones or something crazy like that. So it was really nice just to see that, you know, group of people. We were able to race a Ferrari, which was awesome. Not very many.
I saw that.
You know, not very many people get to say they raced a Ferrari and was winning, so they had to pull back so they could get him in the shot, and then the Ferrari kicked my butt. So, you know,
that's what happens when you let your foot off the gas.
But off the line, I tell you what, I'll get it every time. Now that wasn't one of our team drone racing events. We put that together pretty quickly, and we mostly just pulled the support from, you know, all the local clubs. Northwest FPV came out and they helped us put that on. We had a couple of our sponsors. Stretched UAV was there, and that was just an exhibition style. Come fly what you got, get all dirty and muddy, and, you know, just have a good weekend. So that went off really well. We had a lot of fun and got a lot of exposure. I think I was probably on the news 3 or 4 times locally. Elvin, you probably saw me a lot, didn't you?
Yeah. You were interviewed by 2 of my buddies. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's
pretty
awesome.
Cool. Now,
yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's actually a good way to start the any season, is just to kind of ease into it, get everybody together, and then just have it fly so that everybody knows what's going on. And then, you know, event 2, you're on it. You know, this is when the big boys go play. So, like you said, it was a 3-day event. Friday, what'd you do at that event?
So Friday was that was pilots coming in. We did a lot of exhibitional stuff or preliminary stuff, basically. So that was practice, getting the guys seated for their rounds. Saturday was also seating day, which we seated for finals into Sunday, and we had like $1,200 in cash prizes or something that the guys were competing for. It was just really what we pooled together and decided to kind of give out to everybody to make up for going there. Hobby Wing, I can't forget my buddy Charlie at Hobby Wing. They actually brought a big old bag of goodies, and we were able to give a bunch of stuff out to the pilots, and that's always fun when we can actually give swag away to people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. All right, Coach Miyagi, I'm going to put you on the spot. Start of 2018, you go to your first event. It's going to be an exhibition. What do you tell your team? What are you prepping for?
Don't be shy. Be out, open. Put yourself out there like you remember, when most of the things that I grasp back on is stuff that I learned as growing up in the racing scene. So like, stuff I learned racing dirt bikes, cars, and down at the drag strip. I learned that you can't be reluctant away from a recluse away from the crowd. You got to go out there. You got to present yourself. It's you're not just there to race, but you're also there to promote. So you have to remember to go out there and don't be, if your normal self is to be a recluse and hide in the corner, that's not the place to do it. You want to be out. You want to be in the open. You want to make noise. You want to bring positive attention to yourself and to your team, and you want to be respectful everywhere you go. So one of the things I would tell my team is make sure when you talk to other people that you're not sure their age. Make sure you use the ma'am and the sir and the Mr. and Mrs. things, because those are the kind ways of saying I'm paying attention to who you are.
That's right.
Definitely.
That's right. Yeah.
Hey, and that's actually a very good way to go about it. And at any event, you always have to view it as a promotional event, because if you just go there to race, you're really not helping yourself, because you're not helping your own brand, as we say.
Right. Well, and here's the thing is we're always marketing and selling ourselves and everything we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, I'd say a lot of these guys, they really want to make drone racing not just a hobby. They want to actually make it a career. Right. And I believe that there is a career in it, not just for, us organizers, but for the pilots too. I think every pilot should be, especially in team events where they're spectators, every pilot should be taking home a paycheck. So, at the end of the day, just like you said, you want to be out there and selling yourself and marketing yourself and, putting yourself out there so that people want to buy into you. Because that's one of the big things that we're trying to find and figure out right now is like, who's the face of drone racing? Is there a face of drone racing? Is there like, there's a couple guys that you and I could say, oh yeah, this guy or this person is the face of drone racing. However, somebody that doesn't quite know like drone racing, who's the face to them? What do they see? What do they look at when they think of drone racing? And their visual perspective is a little bit different than ours.
Definitely.
Yeah, and like who was the face of drone racing last year? It's not the face this year.
Right. Exactly.
I'm sorry to say it, but when we arrived at 2015 at Drone Nationals, there was probably there was 130 something pilots there, and maybe 5 was the elite. Mm-hmm. Now there's probably 1,000 elite pilots. So
like same skill levels,
right? Yeah, so and
I don't know about 1,000. Come on, that's a high number. Okay, come on,
dude. Across the world, think about it.
No.
Maybe,
no.
Nah.
Sorry, not
out of 11,000. Okay, so MultiGP says they have 11,000 pilots registered.
Yeah, but there's not 11,000 elite. Okay,
no, I'm not saying 11,000, but 1,000. There's 1,000. There's got to be 1,000 hot pilots. capable of
I'll give
competing.
you 100. I won't give you 1,000.
That's got to be just in the USA.
No. Okay. Anyways,
Okay.
Okay, Ken, give us your number. Give us your number.
Why says this?
All right.
Hey, Ken.
So,
Why says there's less than 100, maybe 100. That's
well,
what
so
Why
we
says.
have 36 elite pilots just here
There you
in
go.
Washington.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
So I would say in the West Coast, I mean, if we just take, Washington, Oregon, California, we've got to be pushing 100 just there, right?
So, I would take
Hey,
that bet.
I'm just
100
saying. Hold
pilots
on.
the West Coast.
Okay, this is where I'm going to contend with you. Okay, if you have 30 pilots in the Aerial Pro League, not all of them are elite because that goes against what elite means. It's the upper. Okay, I'm gonna leave this alone before I get myself into trouble. Okay, they're all elite. There's like 10,000 out there. Okay, I'm gonna leave it alone. Okay, moving on. Let's flip to the other side before I start getting hate mail. I don't like hate mail. I get enough of that already.
You're gonna get me in trouble.
Exactly. So, all right, we talked about the pilot side. Let's talk about the organizing side. So, after this event, what takeaways did you have? Because there's always stuff that you can say, well, that could have gone better, or man, that went really well. We're definitely going to do that again.
So PIR, Portland International Raceway, is in July. 100% honest, it was a cluster, right? So there was a lot of things that I took away from that. There was timing system issues. There was, outdoor gate issues.
Yeah.
There was dealing with venue issues and other things, trying to keep everybody happy. So one of the things that I learned was that I'm going to have to get used to spreading myself thin in those situations, just because, not to say I have a great team. Everybody that works with us is on point. However, there's just a few of us, right? So to do everything that we want to do, it's just take accountability and handle it. And that's kind of what I've done moving forward is, even if it's baby steps, anything that can be made better, I'm trying to make it better.
Definitely. And you know what? I'm glad you said that because in any starting event, there's always a lot to learn. I mean, like, what? I've been at this for like 2 years, and like, I'm still like going, man, there's so much, that you could do better. And it's like when is the end? When is the road? When's the light at the end of the tunnel? And you realize it's never gonna be at the end of the tunnel. You always have something better to improve upon.
That's right.
It's tough.
Well, and I love that aspect, to be 100% honest with you, because if it was something that like there was an achievable goal and you achieved it, and then it's like, well, then what, but like there's always a way to make this better and cooler and, more badass and just make it freaking awesome. And I think, that's what we're trying to do is not settle anywhere, and if we do have an event where we're like, our last weekend's event, we all kind of sat back and we're like, man, that actually felt good. And then right after that, I pull out my notebook and I'm like, okay, this is what I have to do next time. And I've got this to figure out a little bit quicker. And, I mean, it's that, I do love the fact that there's, it's an objective that'll never be accomplished.
Yeah, it's tough. One of the things that I'm sure you probably feel the same thing because every organizer is the amount of equipment we have to drag in order to produce an event, and it doesn't go down, right? It's like, come on, can we bring this down a little bit? No, it just goes the other way, and you're like, oh, we already got so much stuff, and then we have to haul it, and then we have to break it down, and it sucks because after the event you're all tired and you're like, yep. Oh gosh, we still have to break all this down.
Yeah, and I would say over my last 3 events, my equipment's doubled every event.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, because you just got to do things just a little bit better.
That's right, a little bit better. And you're like, oh, I could get this, and it would make my job 10% easier.
Right. I won't have to listen. Like right now, I bet you're thinking, Man, I wish I had a better PA system.
I was just thinking, I wish I had a cool microphone and headset just like you guys. I'm like, oh, I'm so setting this up for next time.
You go.
See that. That's how you add up. That's how that money gets sucked in. That's how we end up broke, dude. That's exactly.
But see, I've already got the mic and the interface from the announcing, so we're good.
Oh yeah. Now that's what we talk about right there. You multiple uses.
That's right.
I tell you what, announcing is really important. It's something that I'm starting to get tied down, and there's definitely okay. Let's move on. Event number 2.
Hey, so that's a good point, because one of the guys, our guy Justin, he was there, and he was there for 2 days.
Justin Davis?
No, not Justin Davis. That's my other buddy, my other Southern brother from another mother. But no, Justin Howell, who was there, he's one of the pilots that would be on our team. So
nice.
Great guy, good attitude, awesome skills, and a pleasure to be around. That's one of the reasons why he's on the team. So
nice. Well, Justin, you should have come and hollered at me. I could have taken a second to say hi.
Yeah, he said he was trying to. One of his complaints is that the pilot, you couldn't see the pilots because you guys had them in tents or something, and blacked out tents. So he said one of the things would have been cool is to see what was going on in the, even if it was just a small camera, not really giving you a lot of detail, but you seeing people moving around in the tent. You know what I mean?
Yep. That's a good point. And we'll get to this last weekend, but there was a lot of stuff at GE2 that went right, and a lot of other things that could have gone better, and then a lot of things that I didn't even have control over, as far as like layout and setup and stuff like that. So, I get to put my hands up and be like, no comment.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to event number 2, which is at the Xfinity Arena. So tell me about that event, because this is like basically the start of your team racing events.
Exactly. Yeah. So Xfinity Arena in Everett is Comcast Arena. The great people at the city of Everett and also Snohomish County really came big for us there. And, they helped sponsor that and gave some funds for down payments and whatnot for that event. Mm-hmm. The event in itself was great. We got our teams together. We're able to get them on camera and get them used to, being in front of spectators. We sold about 500 tickets.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad you guys responded like that. Because you know how.
Oh, we do.
Oh, yeah.
Believe we know. We know.
500 tickets. That's awesome. Okay, that is awesome.
That's what you got your money back.
Kinda, right? So the Xfinity, our Pro Aerial League team events are kind of based around like experiential stuff. So to back up a little bit, all of this started at GE2 last year in December. I got brought in to host the drone races there, and it turned into it was a hit. It was the one of the favorite things of the entire event last year. Everybody around was like, "You guys have something." People like to watch it, and the guys that put on GE2 are also into like the family entertainment industry. So, they start thinking, hey, this is entertaining. We can put things with this. So with GE2, it's also like virtual reality, laser tag, dodgeball, all of this other fun family activity stuff that you get to do to kill time while, drone racing is happening. So we kind of took that model and miniaturized it. And that's how Pro Aerial League came about. So at our Xfinity event, we had virtual reality, laser tag, dodgeball, Nerf wars, all that fun stuff along with our drone racing. So it was great. I mean, people got to come. The kids that were interested in the drone racing, literally, they were at their seats the whole time watching the racing while, mom and dad were out wandering around, hitting the bar, checking out some virtual reality, doing some other things. So, I think that was really kind of the niche to figure out how we're going to make this work, you have to mix drone racing with something. I think we've all realized that's how this works out the best. As far as the racing event went, it was kind of a mess. I'll be 100% honest. My event tracker, brand new event tracker, crapped out on me, and I had no timing or scoring for the whole day. So our cool team layout that we created just kind of went out the window. So we didn't get to do any of the hot lap races. We didn't get to do any of the fast time trial stuff or anything like that. We just reverted back to multi-GP counting points, right? I mean, that's kind of like backup is always, well, let's just count points. So it still worked, kind of. We were able to put on the event. The pilots had fun. The spectators had fun. Nobody knew anything was happening. But for me, you know, it could have gone a lot better.
For you, it was like the world was crumbling. It's like, why?
Oh, I started sweating bullets and getting that like anxious feeling, and then eventually, you know, you just have to throw your hands up and be like, look, we can't mess with it anymore. You know, I had Florian from TBS on my computer at the arena, like trying to, you know, get it fixed, and he's like, I'm sorry, bud, you got a bad tracker.
Ouch. Hey, you know what? I think that's I'm going to be honest with you. It's one of the things that even I worry about is the fact that you almost need a second backup one, and it might not be. Yeah. You might actually want one that's from a different brand. Hey, you know, I love TBS stuff, but like I'm probably getting an immersion one as well, and then I would choose the best one of the two for that event.
That's right.
And like, okay, I've been running that event tracker a lot, and I've yet to try the immersion one, so I want to do that for 2018. But for indoor events, I think iLabs is actually better. I'm going to be very honest with you. I would revert back to iLabs for all indoor events in my current situation.
Yeah. Yeah, we've all got. I still have a pile of transponders just waiting to be used.
Hey, I'm saying, you know, if your events are super organized, you might want to give that a shot, because like indoors, I've had like significant, like great results. You know, as long as you get the sun out of the way, the iLab system works great. But anyway, I digress. I understand. I understand your feeling. So what did you end up doing for your team format then? Because you were having issues with your tracking system.
Yeah, so we just did preliminaries, multi-GP style, counted laps, and then tallied towards the end. We did lap points and bonus points, just to make it more of a race. So, you know, first place gets lap points and X bonus points. So you're not just trying to finish, because there's that difference when it's like, okay, you're just racing for laps, then people kind of slow down. They want to get their laps.
Yeah, I do hate that he didn't even race. He just flew the course. You know, exactly. I don't like when that's a stipulation that the guy, if you're in the last heat, you better be running your ass off. That's what I think, you know.
Yeah, well, and so us as organizers, it's our job to incentivize as much as possible, right? Yeah. So, you know, that's where those bonus points kind of came in. And then, so for the team relay, what we did is we just had judges count laps. So judges were counting laps and watching for missed gates and flags. And then, we distributed points based among who got the most laps for that 20-minute round. Have you guys had a chance? I don't know if you have had a chance to watch any of the 20-minute footage or not yet from GE2. But, you know, those 20-minute rounds are pretty intense. I mean, the pilots are dripping with sweat. One of our guys got beamed in the head with a drone. It was amazing. Luckily, we have all safety gear. You know, our guys wear motorcycle helmets, protective gloves. You know, we recommend arm protection and stuff like that. Nice. But it was glorious. It was an amazing crash.
I tell you what, like being at team events, because I like being at those team events, and I learn something about that every time. And it literally is, in order to capture the glory of those type of moments where everything's going wrong for a team or everything's going right for a team, you literally like like, I don't know, you need to get a sponsorship from Run Cam so you can stick a Run Cam on the top of everyone's helmet, have them all hit record, and then spend literally, I'm not joking, 200 hours editing everything together, because that's what it'll take.
That's right. Yeah, we did actually get footage from Willie's helmet cam because he stuck a GoPro, and the compilation we put together was head being crashed from the GoPro cam. We had DVR cam. We had outside cam.
So he took the hit with the GoPro on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you saw it.
Oh yeah. Everybody saw it. His visor flew off.
You know what? That's the thing, though. You need it on everybody's helmet, so that you can get like the full story of what's going on, or something like, or maybe like on the team captain, like all of the team captain has to have a running GoPro or something like that.
Yeah, totally.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Anyways, well, go ahead.
And that's what we're struggling with is capturing it, right? That's what's going to turn this into a professional sport, like football. When football got fun for me was when they stuck that camera over the field so you can like follow the whole thing as it's happening, the zipline camera thing. Stuff like that is great. And when we have that for drone racing, like a camera can be overhead and follow along a drone throughout the like who's in first, who's in second, who's in last, or out in the field, and the runner cams. But again, I mean, that's future. That's what we're looking for. The future is more cameras, more people,
more data.
See, that's like, you need to build out your own AV team, and that's tough, because like you're talking about professionals at this point, because like if you're gonna get AV people to do it right, they actually need to be good because things are moving fast.
We've met a few of those not so good people.
Right.
Hey. Well, you know what? You had some challenges, but it seems like
we have. Remember that? Come on now, be honest.
Whatever. Moving on. But Ken, being honest, having technical challenges, that's just the reality of life. But it still seemed like, from the footage, a little bit of the footage that I've seen on Facebook, you still had a really good event in which it's still entertaining. And at the end of the day, you still crown somebody a winner. And that's a win in my book. It's like, if everybody came back safe and you crowned a winner, you at least accomplished the mission.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the winner of our first team event was Team Carbon. They did great. They flew amazingly. Really clean and consistent team. We've got, everybody on our crew is on the team. They're on a team for a reason. But some of them are more consistent than others, and we just let the results speak for that.
So, in your opinion, watching this relay, unfold, was there a lot of chaos amongst all the teams, or was it like they really kind of figured it out right from the get-go?
So it was really, it was kind of humbling, rewarding, I would say, for me to witness, because, this whole like team relay format and basing our league around it and everything is my baby. So, for me to take that risk and to go out on the limb like I have with this whole format and everything, I was concerned about just exactly what you asked. But when the clock started and the pilots took off, and you saw these guys talking to each other and communicating, and the pit crew handling their job properly and the runners handling their job properly, the pilots switching back and forth using different transmitters, different rates, other people's quads, because they've got 12 quads per team and they can choose how they want to do it. Some teams have one pilot fly, some teams will have two pilots fly, and I don't think they really do more than two pilot swaps throughout that time period. But it was incredible to actually watch them come together. The first relay was a little bit more hectic, but as soon as that second relay came out, we had guys with communication headsets. Everybody else brought out their like cell phones and, had their earpieces in, so they were like, could talk to the pilots and the runners. And, it was really cool. And this is where we give them all the freedom in the world for their strategy. We've got bare minimum requirements and things that we say, hey, you have to do this. But other than that, as far as the strategy goes and their lineup and all that, they get to pick it out themselves. So it's really cool to see, their strategies come into play like that.
Definitely. That's pretty cool. All right, Elvin, Mr. Coach, I'm putting you on the spot again. All right, your team, first relay of the season. What's your strategy going in, man?
Finish your laps.
Oh,
Take
come
your
on.
time.
All right, you're a terrible coach if that's all you got to say.
No, I'm always me. I'm always pushing people and asking them to just relax, have fun, but be competitive. Don't let a failure destroy the day for yourself. You know what I mean? And you and I also want people to understand that when you're on a team and you don't accomplish the task that you were set out to do, right? Or you don't do well in the race. So if that's the case, you can't let that get you down because it affects the rest of the team. You don't know how it affects the rest of the team. And part of being the coach or the captain is you're responsible of seeing what happens when people don't accomplish their job, and then you need to build them back up so that the team doesn't fall apart in the process, right? Because we've seen that happen over time. You see a team, one guy gets frustrated, then the next guy gets frustrated at him, then another person is frustrated at those two people, then one guy just don't give a shit. You know what I mean? And, and then the next thing you know, the whole team is apart. It's no longer a team; it's a bunch of eyes. So what you got to do is you got to be able to recognize those things as being a coach and a captain. But as what I just tell guys is, look, we go in, we examine the field, we talk about who's better qualified to run the course, who's got better times, whose ship is running better. Those are the things, and then you have to make that calculated guess of who's gonna run the course for you today. And or the two pilots that are gonna run for that day, and then everybody do their job and make sure that you do your job well. That way, everybody else can rely on doing their job and not have to worry about you doing your job to keep up.
Okay, sure. Cool. I got something to say, but I'm not a coach, so I'm just going to move on.
Well, let's hear it. Come on. You can't just
G.
Yeah.
Come on. You my other ear, so.
So if I was leading the team, I would say it's all performance-based, right? So like everybody gets a chance to fly the track at certain points, and you see who's performing the best on the track, and you're going to select your top two. And because based on performance, those two people are the pilots. I know everybody wants to fly. That's just fact.
Sure,
but you know what? If you're on a team, the top two performers are the ones that are going to fly, and everybody else has to suck it up and support those two pilots. And whether it's the runner or the pit person, you got to perform your job. You got to perform it well. And It's interesting because you said 12 quads, but I highly doubt that every team had 12 identical quads. Am I right?
Nope. Each team had 12 identical quads. So Thrush UAV is our drone manufacturing partner, and they've sponsored us, and each pilot has 2 Thrush UAV Riots. So, and also Max Amps is our battery sponsor. So every pilot has 2 Max Amps packs as well. So, they have them to practice with, and those are the required framework for competing. So this is 100% spec race as well.
Props, okay.
I did not know that. That makes it even better.
There's because we were talking about, talking to other, I'd already been out talking to other companies about running their stuff as a team thing. So that's a great point, because now I don't have to worry about that. So to let me ask you this question, because I think this will help me out. What do I need to bring to the table as a team financially?
So all the teams have to really cover right now, and this is where we're at right now. Eventually, when we're sponsored to the gills and funded really well, ultimately we don't want pilots paying for anything. But all pilots have to do is pay for replacement parts. So they keep their quads in the air, and we keep hosting events for them. They don't have to pay to come and fly at our events or anything like that. They got the 2 drones and the 2 batteries, which is like, I don't know, $1,400 value, about something like that. So I mean, as a pilot, all you're required is to keep your equipment running, and then we keep hosting events for you.
No, that's nice. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So Elvin,
That's great.
Yeah. And to that degree, since I don't know, like there's a whole bunch of ways to do it. I'm just telling you my strategy for doing it off the bat is the top 2 performers will be the pilots, but everybody has to know their quads in and out. It's now, since you're sponsored by, who was it again?
Thrust UAV.
UAV. Yep. The white quads.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, the white quads, they look really good.
And they shine
composite, right? They're polycomposite, polycarbonate. That's what they are.
Yeah, I think I think it's carbon fiber with just a laminate on the top and bottom.
Okay, but it's great because since everybody's running the same quad, everybody should know how that quad works, so that when you're swapping batteries or if there's issues, everybody should be up to snuff about how to do it quickly. Unless, of course, you have somebody who just comes on the team, says, "Hey, I'm going to be the dedicated runner and pitman. I'm going to be elite at my job," which I guarantee you there are some people who wants to be just a part of the drone community that doesn't want to be the pilot, that just wants to be a part of the team. And, they could be really good at that. And you should accept those people, because that's one less pilot you have to feed.
Well, and it's kind of like forming as we go, right?
Mm-hmm,
I think what we found is the team relay portion, that's the golden ticket. That's what people love to watch, and people love to participate in too. But like you said earlier, is the pilots want to fly. Like that's like one of the things that we're trying to figure out is how do we. I think this is going to turn into 4 quarters of 20-minute drone racing. It's going to be like an actual sport where the guys come out and do this 4 times with breaks and quarters and half times and all that stuff. And the preliminary stuff, the first half of the day, the practice and the seating is seating for like starting position or, something like that, like they do for NASCAR. If you had a good day, your front starting position versus back starting position. And we do with like a delayed start or something. But also, I think it's going to turn into, like the pilots are the quarterbacks. Not everybody wants to be a quarterback. There are some people that want to be the quarterbacks. But hey, like for me, I'd want to be a defender. You put me on the defensive line, and I'm going to get that quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm going to
that's how I am, man. I've always said I don't want to be the president of the United States. I want to be the dude that he calls up on the weekends.
Right.
Hey, Jim, let's go hang out. You know what I mean?
Totally. So and that's where this is kind of getting to. So no hard feelings to the people that just want to be a runner, because we've got space for them, and no hard feelings for the guys that want to compete to be the top pilot, because that's what we're trying to encourage, is the competition to find the top pilots.
Right.
Definitely. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the 3rd event that you've just completed, and this marks your halfway point. So tell me about GE2.
GE2 is freaking awesome, guys. We partnered with Facebook Live Sports for this event, which was huge for us. I don't know if you guys have seen their page, but they are it's the main Facebook Live page that focuses on sports. And they brought us in to be their exclusive drone racing partner. So on Saturday and Sunday, on their page of 15.5 million viewers, they promoted our races and our live stream. And so we garnered about 600,000 hits on our live stream, over 110,000 views on our live stream over 2 days. So I mean, as far as that goes, it was as good as I could have possibly asked for. The timing system actually worked, which was great too, indoors, you know. So we were able to do some fun stuff with for the competition for the guys on Saturday. We had some great prizes. Fat Shark gave out some goggles. Max Amps gave out some batteries and some swag. Who else gave out stuff? Progressive RC was there. They're a local company, and you know they've always been good at supporting us. They come. Yeah, they're awesome over there. And you know, so Saturday was great, and then Sunday our team racing, man, it was pretty epic. We had a crowd for our first team race, and you know, when Willie got hit in the side of the head, it was epic because everybody just goes, "Oh!"
You're putting this on, right? It's like, hey, Willie, you can stand out there. We're gonna run a drone in here.
We're going to stay a little high.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to aim for that little spot right about here.
Don't worry. That helmet is good for 10 Gs.
Exactly. Well, that's why we use motorcycle helmets.
It's a good idea, actually. It's a very good idea. And like gloves and stuff like that. It's definitely, you know, when you're out there in the pits, it can get a little gnarly sometimes. I've seen some things. Yeah. But you know what? It's like it's in every motorsport, right? If there's no danger, there's really no excitement, and there's no crowd. I mean, that's just life.
That's right.
So,
and you know, not to say that I want my pilots to get injured or damaged or anything like that, but I mean, that's what everybody else wants to see.
Right.
You know, they want the crash cam. They want, you know, the mayhem. You know, they want to see the guy get pulled off the field in a stretcher. You know, so I don't think that's going to happen with what we're doing unless the runners start getting physical or something like that.
Hey,
which I could see that happen too.
It could happen. It could happen,
dude. The runner's job is a tough job. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
Run by that other dude and clip him, man.
Oh yeah, you know that guy totally on purpose.
Right.
Hey, we're not in Detroit now. Hold on, we haven't gotten that far east yet. Okay. Anyway, so like, is this the same relay format that you had for GE2?
Yeah. So that's our team relay. So 20 minutes of straight drone racing. And we did it twice at GE2, and we did it twice at Xfinity as well.
Pretty cool. So, so each team just gets to go up twice, and then you just compile it to see who won, or how does that work?
So the first half of the day at GE2 was like hot laps. Hot laps, most laps. We did, you know, different fun stuff where everybody gets to fly, and we do normal rounds and 6 heats of 6 and yada yada. And then at, you know, 2 specific times that we promoted through the live stream and stuff is when we did the relay races. So what we do is the guys fly, and yeah, we compile the points. And I changed scoring up a little bit moving forward from Xfinity, only because the way, and you know, you never know this until you actually do it, is the way that the points were set up was that it allowed for a runaway way too early in the event at Xfinity. And you know, Carbon was really consistent, so they were able to just take away with the match, which was good for them. But the numbers don't jive, right, when you're trying to do a fair competition. Right. So we reworked the points a little bit, and it worked out flawlessly this last time. It was close the whole time, neck and neck between a few different teams, and you know, nobody knew who the winner was the whole time, partially because we didn't have the spreadsheet up and live and adding up points the whole time, but partially because too everybody was really neck and neck.
That's what you're gonna have to work on next. Live, up to date on who's actually first at the very moment, because people want to see that. I know I do. So
well, now that I got the spreadsheet built and all the formulas in there, I had to nerd out a little bit on it. But now that it's built, it's good.
That's cool. You know, that's really cool, and it's, you know, it's one of those things where like it's those little fine details that really draws in the crowd. You know, when they actually feel like they understand what's going on. It's just not a LED show of really fast moving things, because that's what keeps people's attention and stuff like that. And also good announcers. I mean, at the end of the day, somebody's got to be there jabbering and talking. Otherwise, it gets a little boring just watching things fly around. But that's what makes a sport. You know, you gotta have the people playing, you gotta have the people informing, and then you finally get the crowd. Well, hopefully you get the crowd. So how many people you thought dropped on by and took a look at your drone racing?
You know, it was hard for me to gauge that. I mean, thousands, honestly. We had a really good weekend. We had a bleachers, and they were probably, I mean, halfway full, and you know, they could fit a lot. They gave me way more bleachers than I asked for. I said, hey, I never said I could fill all those seats. But you know, I mean, how it is. But yeah, I mean,
you'd be crying if they didn't give you enough room. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly, right. So you know, I had to be lighthearted about it. Yeah, but I mean, I would say at least 10,000 people maybe throughout the whole weekend at GE2 specifically. And I mean, we were the main event. As soon as you walked in the doors, we were right there in the main hall. So I'm sure we got a big portion of those views. Our Facebook likes went from 500 Facebook likes to like 2,600 Facebook likes over the weekend.
Nice.
Which pretty incredible for us. Yeah, we had a lot of analytics that really kind of proved what we were doing this weekend.
Hey, keep those analytics up, because that's how you get sponsors, right? You know the deal.
Exactly.
You know the deal.
That's right.
Hey,
that's right.
Oh, I will say then, I think that's the first one that I would say congratulations on a very successful event. And it looks like you're on track to really do well for you're at the halfway point. You got 3 more to go. So well, you can't see the finish line just yet. I'll wait until like when we have you on, when you're done for the season. Hopefully you'll still be the same, the same color, that you won't be like a zombie by then.
It might be the life drawn out of you.
Okay. Sometimes, man, it just takes one event. But that's pretty cool. Exactly. So like, go ahead if you got some.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's been a lot of fun, especially after the last weekend. It was really rewarding just to kind of sit back and see all the good stuff that was starting to roll our way finally.
I tell you what. So, Elvin, all right, here's my question for Mr. Coach. You're finally starting to see people looking at you. You got 1,000 eyeballs looking at you, and your pilot starts to get the jitters. What do you tell him?
It depends on who I'm talking to.
give me 2 scenarios. 2 scenarios.
Well, I mean, I got one pilot that all it would take is to just let's put that out of your mind and move on. You're here for to do your job, because one of my pilots is like that. I said this before, that we are one of the pilots that I associate with pretty much almost every weekend I see him. To me, he is Gab. He's my Gab. He's my Gab 707, and he's tactical. He's precise. So that guy is I just got to let him relax. You know what I mean? He doesn't get nervous. I talk shit to him. He talks shit to me, and that's how I know where he's at. And there's another guy that I got to kind of push a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, hey, come on, man. It's not that big. It's not that bad. We've been somewhere, more. You've been in another situation where we've had more pressure on us. So let's just move forward and knock this race out. And then let's see how you feel after the race. You know what I mean? Those are the things that you have to do. And, you wish that it was so easy to just say, hey, let's just go out there and do this job. But, other things affect everybody differently. You know what I mean? And each person has their own anxiety issues. You know what I mean? This is that world where, you have to be complacent to everybody's issues. And
I didn't say
and
that. Okay.
That's it. I mean, you have to understand what drives a person to be in that position, whether it's nervousness. If someone's just nervous, then how do you get them to be unnervous? You get to crack a couple jokes, you get them to loosen up a little bit, and then things seem to simmer down a little bit. Now, the start button thing, I always feel that there's like this fight or flight. They tell you about the fight or flight. If someone shows up at your house with a gun, and for a split second you have that opportunity. Do you run or do you attack? You know what I mean? And some people are going to run, and there's nothing you can do about that. So some people are going to have that anxiety, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to let them perform and work out the bugs mentally themselves. And then there's some people that's not going to work. You're going to have to push them. You're going to have to focus them, keep them focused. So you have to keep stuff around them to keep their mind focused in the race direction. So you don't want homeboy to be hanging out with his girlfriend. You know what I mean?
You gotten a little deep there, okay? I was expecting a lighthearted answer.
It's the truth, man.
Ken, you sure you want him as a coach? I don't know, man.
Your day up. Huh?
Nothing. Okay. Good answer. Good answer.
Good answer.
Ken, you might need some security protection from Elvin, when he gets riled up. I'm just saying.
Oh, come on.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah.
Halfway through. So moving on to your next event. It's like, what have you learned, and like, what are you pushing in terms of trying to get better for each event? Do you have like something that you're really striving to get better at right now?
Right now, it's the live stream. I mean, we've seen now how valuable just pushing content to the internet is, and being able to push out better content is my main goal. Getting a second timing system. I want to get one of those immersion systems like you're talking, just because having a backup is necessary. I mean, I feel like every time I show up to an event and my event tracker works, that I'm just lucky, right? Not that it's supposed to do that or anything, but
no comment.
But the live stream for me is where I'm kind of putting a lot of my eggs right now. I need better cameras, better like overlays, just ways to make it more visually appealing. And scoring is a big thing, just because people, they want to root for their team, and they want to know if their team is winning or losing, so they can root harder or not as hard. And the same thing goes for pilots. I do feel bad to have to tell the pilots, look, I'm too busy to give you points right now. But I mean, sometimes it is what it is, but moving forward, that's not going to be an issue, and that's something that pilots, I'm sorry, it's not going to be an issue. And just continued engagement, trying to figure out how to engage these people that we're hitting and getting in front of, and keep them engaged, and communicating with them and figuring out what they like, what they don't like, and how, asking like guys like you guys, how can we improve and get better, and things that you notice, and put it out there even to the entire community, because I appreciate everybody's input. That's one of the things that I really lean on around here is our local FPV community, because we got a bunch of good guys, Portland, Seattle, Idaho, Spokane, we've got a bunch of really good, talented guys around here, and their support has just been phenomenal.
Definitely. And it's one of those things where I think you've already kind of solved it yourself, or you kind of lucked into it, is that, when it comes to distributing content, you kind of already want to use somebody else's network that's already there, because you just don't have the resources to go build that yourself. I mean, build up that audience immediately. It's like, once you get the sponsors and people that are dedicated towards doing live streaming, then you can work towards building your own audience and your own content network. But until then, it makes a lot of sense to use somebody else's network. They benefit from having something unique on their channel, and you benefit from having an existing audience that's there that's willing, hopefully willing to, view something new and like give you some likes that will show sponsors, hey, this is a thing, and hopefully, continue growing, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and just to give you an example of some of our analytics, we all know 18 to 25 or whatever males was number one, and then 25 to 35 males was number two. But surprisingly, 18 to 34 or whatever it was, females was our number three demographic.
That's
so
good.
That's something that everybody always asks, how do we bring more females into this industry? How do we get the girls racing? And somehow we were able to get in front of them. So now we got to figure out how we're going to engage them, right? So, and I think that's the struggle that we're working with every demographic.
I tell you what, this is one thing that I would do, and the guys are going to get mad, but it's the truth, is that if you have that demographic, you get back on that channel and you start asking for an all-girl team to apply, and then you will literally give them more funding because they're just more important. I'm sorry, guys. They are.
And there's some females, there's some female racers up there in Seattle that I know of right now.
There you go. I mean, hey, 2018.
I know three female racers up there right now in Seattle.
You got to have one team that are all females. I'm just saying, that'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure they can find two more.
Yeah. I mean, if two of them are already pilots, I mean, you can fill in.
Two of them are pilots.
So, you can fill in others that can learn along the way. I mean, that's why I like the team format, is that, you can have, a team that isn't just all pilots, because you can fill in the other spots with other support roles that are just as important, because like that battery doesn't change itself. I'm just saying.
Yeah, a lot of guys found that out, right?
That's right.
They find out that, oh man, I don't like team format, and then in the end, it's like, well, you know what, dude, it's really interesting, and it's trying for everyone. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, well, and there are always some naysayers, but after the end of our last weekend, I haven't gotten one person, one pilot that says, I don't like it anymore, or anything like that. Everybody's just super fired up about it, which for me is, a win right there too.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And I think you're on the right social media network. I don't think I don't think Twitch is it, I don't think YouTube is it, because YouTube is not live streaming, but I think Facebook, with the way that they can reach out to people and draw people in, I think it's pretty good. Although, like, watching stuff on like Facebook Live for more than like 10 minutes is a little weird. So they got to work on that part, because it's not. You don't go to it to watch something lengthy, right? You go to it to watch snippets. So I don't know if that's a hurdle for you or for Facebook, but it's a little weird. So like you definitely have the views there, but nobody watches long form content there. So it's like, I don't know.
Exactly. Well, and that's something we are looking into simulcasting, because you can simulcast to like YouTube and Facebook Live or something like that, and, which I think YouTube is the only other option I would consider. Twitch is, for me, it seems like more the gamer live streaming community, and I mean, the gamers are kind of into drone racing, but it doesn't seem like they're as into drone racing as they are into the video games. So
it's always about the video games for them. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's tough too, because like you don't really know where your audience is going to come from yet, because you're so new. But like you get them where you can, right? That's the
right.
goal. It's like if you can get up, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not picky. Just watch.
I'm not picky. I like that.
That's good right there.
All right. So halfway point. What's your next event?
We've got December 3rd on the books, which I don't know what's going to happen with that one, because we're having some scheduling issues with the venue, but we're trying to figure something out. We've got a couple different venues that are interested in having us, so we might still get lucky. But then we've got a February and a March date that are coming that give us a little bit more time to get some funding put together to make those happen. The arenas aren't cheap, let me tell you guys.
Hey, I understand totally. And it's one of those things where it's like, It's tough. We get it. Trust me. We at the podcast here get it. That's
Renegade.
why we try to we try to help you out as much as we can. No,
but yeah, I mean, we're super excited for the coming up season. One of the things I didn't get to mention was that one of our partners, Liftoff, actually created our GE2 course in their simulator. So I'm pretty sure it's live right now. So you can actually go to Liftoff and find our course on as one of their pre-built courses, and they've got our gates all made all cool and everything.
Oh, nice. Hey, you know what? That way people can get some practice in for next year, right? Or something like that.
Get an idea what it's like.
Get an idea for what it's like. So, like, since you, you're planning your next event, tell me, like, the philosophy of the tracks. What are you trying to do every single time you build a track? Because obviously, one of the things that is going to, make or break your event is having good tracks. So, what is your philosophy there?
So I think the first thing that I always try and think about is good runner lanes. We have to try, I use that word term loosely, to keep our runners safe. So, we set it up in such a way to where there is places for them to kind of hang out and wait for an issue to arise. Now, that being said, no place is safe out in the drone course. We know that.
That is true.
They always have to keep their eyes open. But I think after safety, our first course wasn't as fast as I would have liked it. You didn't get that sound that comes with a drone that's almost pinned, right? Mm-hmm. It was a little like half throttle instead of 3/4 full throttle. So pulling back to GE2, I wanted to make a course with just a couple. We don't have huge spaces to work with, but I still wanted to incorporate a couple good straights right through the start and through the overhead on the figure 8, and I think it worked out great. It visually looked great on camera. Mm-hmm. The pilots had fun. There were a couple pilots that said it wasn't quite technical enough, which I could totally understand. It wasn't an extremely technical course. But honestly, at the end of the day, we're putting on a spectator-based event. So we want to make sure that it's the spectators can follow it and see what's happening, as well as the pilots have fun and can have a good flight.
No, I think that's a very good compromise, and it's one that I'm glad that you actually can tell pilots, hey, this is the compromise if you want to make a living doing this. Okay, like literally in the United States of America, the largest racing sport, right, is cars going in a big oval. Like literally, there's a reason for that too, right? It's because I've been to those events.
That's right, or a left turn. I don't know, one of those. It's one.
Yeah, left turn. Left turn.
Not always left turn. It's sometimes right turn.
All right.
Yeah, exactly, depending on which way they're going.
Right.
And if you've ever been to so let's talk 3 seconds about NASCAR. If you ever been to a NASCAR event, it's you can't reproduce that. Like literally, if you watch NASCAR at home, it's not like watching NASCAR in live, because people go there and they bring hearing protection materials because it's so loud. And when sound is that loud, you can physically feel it. So it's actually a very interesting thing, which is the reason why when you say, it's something that a lot of people don't pick up on, is that when you build a race course that it's spectator friendly, you do want to hear that sound, right? Because that is the translation of what NASCAR can do in live, right? They can reach 120 decibels. I don't think we can get there with 5-inch quads, but you know what? We have a different pitch that's kind of unique and it sounds good, especially if you I don't know.
Exactly.
If you can run spec props, there are certain props that actually sound better than others, but that's a different story.
There's props that make a lot of noise.
Yeah. So
we actually spec out the Dow Cyclones, and they've got a very whizzy sound to them.
The Dow Cyclones.
Dow props.
Hey, okay, that's a different story. Anyways, we won't go there. Again. Okay. So, did you tell us where your next event was? I've lost track.
I haven't yet. Our next event I don't think it's going to be at Xfinity unless we can get there. If they can get their act together and we can get some stuff worked out before December 3rd, then we might have to use a secondary venue. But we'll probably be back for our February and March events at Xfinity Arena.
Okay, cool. So, when do you think you're going to wrap up your season? Because you already told us off air that it's going to go into 2018. How far into 2018 are you going?
March will be our last actual event. Yep. And that's what we'll kind of total up points, and we'll probably try and fit in a championship on that during that event too. So we'll take our 2 top teams. I'm kind of going back and forth just because if we do want to do a championship, that would add a race, and I don't want to take away a race for a championship. I would err on the side of adding an event for something like that. So, and that's just, I mean, it comes down to funding for us, what we can kind of make happen.
Definitely. Yeah, we understand that. But you're going to end in March. And then when does the 2018 season start then? Because that's pretty far into March or into next season.
That's right. Yep. So the Pacific Northwest, our season, as far as outdoor season, we get from like April to September if we're lucky. So I think what we're trying to do with Pro Aerial League is not infringe on any of the local like clubs and, you know, club flying and multi GP stuff. I do have Seattle Multi Rotors that our 2018 outdoor season's gonna kick some butt this year. So we'll take a little break for the outdoor season, and then we'll probably kick back up, hopefully probably not August, maybe September-ish, 2018.
No, that's pretty good, to make it into a seasonal sport. Have a little downtime, let pilots go compete in, the multi-GP stuff, which is, I mean, quite frankly, they're the largest league in the United States, and everybody wants to participate in that. So, yeah, allowing them to do that is really smart. And, it shows that you can, work with a different league and, sort things out without, just butting heads all the time, which it seems like all the other leagues just want to butt heads, which kind of annoys the shit out of me, but that's a different story.
That's the last thing we want to do. I mean, I'm close friends with all the guys that run the local clubs out here. And, for me, it's, I take a big responsibility making sure that everybody feels like they're not being, nothing's being taken away from them or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. That's really good to hear. That's really everything that I have. Is there anything else that you want to talk about for the Pro Aerial League? Yeah.
Hold on, can you say it one more time?
No, that's everything that I was gonna talk about.
I was messing with you.
Oh, I see how it is. I see how it is. Elvin, you caught me. Cool,
okay,
man.
So I got a couple questions. Okay, so is this going to turn into something where you're going to promote the teams better than you are now? I mean, like right now, you guys, like I said before, you guys kind of have everybody separated into like a little box. You know what I mean? Hidden from everybody, out and away from everybody. But is there an opportunity for? Is the next event gonna have more availability for the audience to see the pilots as they interact with each other?
Yeah, so it's always tough at venues, to kind of position things. At GE2 last year, and this is just my reasoning, not an excuse by any means necessary, but at GE2 last year, something walked away from the pits, so it was a Mavic Pro, right? Which is quite costly. Yeah. But we decided this year, since it is such a big event with so many people around, we just wanted to keep honest people honest, so that's why we kind of stuck the pilots away. I agree 100% that being able to see the pilots and what they're doing when they're doing it, especially during a relay, is valuable.
And my thought would be definitely cameras. I mean, it seems that almost every event that goes on all over the United States, somebody loses something that weekend. Somebody either loses it some body walks home with somebody that may not even be involved in the whole race, walks out of there with something that didn't belong to them. And unfortunately that happens. But that's not what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about the audience being able to walk into the pit or the crew area. I'm just saying there needs to be more interaction between the pilots and the audience, because you're trying to build, how do you build a team? I mean, how do you build an awareness of a team or a love for a team if you don't never see how they function? You know what I mean? That's my guys are interested in that, because they're looking at, they really understand that we are the representatives or the ambassadors of FPV. We go places together. We represent. We're all like, oh yeah, you want to? Here's our goggles. Here's our spare pair. Look at this monitor. Those, and that's what I'm talking about. So like when, like, my family members go, hey, I want to see how Uncle is flying today, or Uncle's team. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you need to have that access. And who was it? I can't remember, but there was one of the guys that was flying, and he was racing, and one of his relatives was in another country, and they were watching a race in another country, rooting him on with their friends. And he said it made their bond as a family stronger. You know what I mean? He felt he could feel the love from that far. You know what I mean? That was, and that's what I'm talking about. So like, I always want to help other pilots or help show the pilots, because I feel that that's a hidden resource that we have that we just don't use.
Yep. So yeah, and on that note, we encourage, actually required our pilots to come out. We would call them out, a couple of them every round, do an interview, try and do some meet and greet with some of the with some of the audience. And I will say, probably on our end, we need to make it more of a requirement as opposed to a recommendation, because sometimes they get stuck in their own areas and working on stuff. Thing. So it's hard for them to kind of break away from that mindset. But we need them to, just like you're saying, we need them to come out and represent us and represent them and their teams. But also on the goggle side, we actually, at Fat Shark, they donated a bunch of the Transformer goggles to us. So we had a Fat Shark zone. So anybody that wanted to come in for a ride along, we had 20 goggles set up that anybody could, any of our spectators could come up, watch whichever pilot they wanted to. They could pick from the screen and be like, I want to watch him, and we could hook them up on the channel and stuff like that. But I totally agree with you. I mean, if we don't support the teams and create these characters around the teams, and there's not going to be anything for the audience and the spectators to buy into. Right.
Exactly. And like me and my grandson were talking about Miyagi Rick. he was like, Grandpa, you ever thought of Miyagi Rick? And I was like, you watch too much TV, boy. You just
I think when it comes to creating content, it's one of the things that's really hard to do, because it's one thing to just record the content. That's great, right? But then to actually spend the time to make that content into something watchable, that's actually a whole new challenge in it itself. And it's, people make a lot of money or, spend a lot of their career trying to figure out how to make content watchable. And it's something that I delved into this year, and I can say there's just so much to learn in that department. It's just something that, you almost need to find somebody who's already an expert there, that's willing to get involved as a volunteer or coach or, something like that, because it's tough. Yeah. But
it is really hard, especially, when we're already juggling, all the other things that we're juggling.
Yeah, exactly. I will say this though, and this is something that I've seen work in great effects in other events that I've been to, is and I've been, I don't know, kind of, I need to find a way to do this well and cheaply, is t-shirts and giving them away, because in actuality it's self-promotion, right? Because on the first day, if you give away a bunch of t-shirts and you tell them, hey, you know, if you wear this t-shirt coming back on the second day, if we see you, you have a chance to win something. It's kind of self-promotion as they walk around, you know, with everybody. But it's like, that's just more money out the door, and it's tough. It's tough to balance that. But you know, it's one of those things where it's super tough. But we're really glad to see that you know, you're improving on every event that you're going through, because that shows a nice healthy league, right?
We're trying to. I'll say this: it's putting a lot of effort into making sure that things go just a little bit better every time.
Definitely. And, you know, we're hoping, you know what, if it gets into next year, I hope I can make it out to your last race, your championship race, because I would love to see the end of the Pro Aerial League, you know, just to, you know, see the culmination of all that effort come into play.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So
sorry, I'm dying.
Yeah, I know. We're going to cut the podcast off here before he turns into a zombie, because his medicine is running out. Uh-oh.
Yeah, he's been drinking too much cough syrup.
So Ken, you know,
I just barely recovered right today.
Oh man, we're sorry to make you talk so much, but if somebody, you know, wants to reach out to you, contact you about the Pro Aerial League, or help out, volunteer, wants to be a part of it, where can they reach you, or the Pro Aerial League?
Pro Aerial League on Facebook is the best way to get through to us. Or, you know, I'm Ken Allison. You can find me on Facebook, or even Seattle Multi-Rotors if you're just looking for some local club flying. Either way, I usually answer.
Oh, there you go. So, you know, if you're one of the audience members and you want to help out, or maybe, you know, donate some products to give away, that's always good, you know, during these events. Definitely hit Ken up. You know, he's trying to build something that's pretty cool. On this podcast, we've been talking a lot about team racing. We love the actual format. It's just very difficult to pull off. And, you know, to have them go through already 2 events and running 3 more, or, you know, for an entire season, that's a difficult challenge. And, you know, that's, I respect anybody that can get through a season like that and want to show up for more, because it is difficult. And, you know, you definitely need to have a good team about you to try to pull off an events like that.
That's right. Yeah. And luckily, you know, the guys that I partner with, we've got a bunch of great guys. My wife, Scott, Mike, that was on here last time. You know, they've just been working tirelessly along with me to make this happen. And it's just been awesome.
Definitely. Cool. Well, Ken, we appreciate you coming back on, giving us the halfway mark of what's going on for the Pro Aerial League. And we definitely want you on when the season's over, and you can tell us the rest of the story to see what happened and who actually won it at the very end. Or hopefully
I'm still alive.
Hopefully hopefully maybe me and Mr. Miyagi will be there to actually record that, you know, the final race to crown that champion or something like that. We'd love to.
We're gonna work on that. You know,
I would love that. We'll give you the VIP treatment.
Yeah. Oh, hey, you're already in the Northeast. You have very little excuse. I'm over in the Midwest.
I know. That's why we had somebody go up there this past weekend for the event, and you know, I was busy with my family and as usual. But we had Justin go up there, and it's Justin and Mark Wasserman and Florian Ragritz and Denny Smith and Mitch Monty and Corey Parkinson right now on the team. So that's my guys right there, and they're interested in this, and they're committed. So I'm loving it.
Here we go.
That's what I like to do.
Hey,
right,
Ken, give us a date. You know, and we will do our best to get there to make sure that we'll be there to help you out and see who the crown champion team is.
All right, you got it.
All right, we're signing off. Thank you so much for coming on, and we are done for another week.
Peace out. Thanks, guys.
Yep.